Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this latest episode of DeLorean Tech. We're going to be working on some suspension on this DeLorean. Got some polyurethane suspension bushings for the sway bar for Toby. We're going to put in support braces for the lower control arms, and we got a shock tower brace we're going to install. So it's going to be a pretty cool install. We got a nice lift this time, so the work should be a little bit more fun.
Are going to be installing DPI's lower control arm support links and DeLorean Go's shock tower brace.
Yeah, Robert, all of your hoses have been changed out in the near term. That's not a hose, that's just a buffer.
That's good to know.
Kind of
I haven't been under it, so.
We've had a brake leak at some point.
Okay, so these are the DPI lower control arm support links. You'll remember that we installed these in another video. So in this car, we're going to be installing these along with the shock tower brace, and we're also changing out the suspension bushings all in one shot. So
You're going like, yeah, I mean,
If he's that dumb, I got some outside.
he's one of those, you know.
We have a $98,000 DeLorean right here.
That's right. Pretty soon, a few more years, probably right. The way things are going.
Okay, we gotta manipulate the hose again. Someone's gotta get over there and lift it up. Do this. I find that that's the best way to do it. Put your thumb on.
Out of the way, okay?
So one of the challenges here in this car is the AC compressor hose. The low side hose is pretty close to the frame of the vehicle. There's not a whole lot of room to move it, so we're having to hold it up while we pound the original suspension bolt out. You want to make sure you do that, otherwise you might cut into the compressor hose.
Out. Is it? Out. Coming through almost. You're through.
Bar.
Just remember, Robert, you wanted these things.
Hey, Todd said it was easy. Got that on film?
It all depends. The passenger side is the more challenging side because of that AC hose.
Yeah. Oh.
You just don't want to cut into that thing and it hurt. It's a tough hose, but you never know, right?
Okay, so that's. And then.
Okay, then on this side,
Spacer, tapered spacer, and then link, and then washer. Right?
Yep.
Thread even. That's the good. Where's it? Oh, you put them up there.
Crazy?
yeah, I am.
Get them up.
Okay.
There you go. Washer, spacer, tapered spacer, and then washers at the end. All right, so we gotta punch this back. Well, maybe. Yeah. That one. And that's how you pushed out all the way. All right. Okay.
No song? No. Not here.
All right.
We're gonna have beer for a few minutes. You're gonna have to help me load that too.
Okay, so here's how you tension the DeLorean Industries turnbuckle style suspension linked. So in order to tension them, you turn them this way. You can see the gap is actually increasing. So that's actually pushing the ends away from each other. Okay, that's adding tension. To decrease tension, you just turn in the opposite direction. And you'll notice that the gap is starting to decrease. That's pulling these two ends together. Okay, so after you tension it by hand, you're just going to want to tighten these nuts up so they're right against the adjuster rod right here. These take a 24 combination wrench. You don't need to torque them down too much. Just get them tight up against the ends here, these tapered ends. So now we have all of the turnbuckles tensioned properly and locked. All of the jam nuts are in place.
Have to let me know because I gotta go let
Okay,
it.
so we just put the ARB back in with Toby's polyurethane bushings, and we got them on both sides over here. So if you've seen the installation video, these are the donut bushings, and now we're going to install the forward bushings with the brackets. So here we are putting the final touches on the anti-roll bar polyurethane bushings. We've got the new brackets in place. So we have factory torqued the two nuts holding in the sway bar bushings. And then we're going to factory torque the bolts for the suspension links.
They're leaking. When I bought the car, the guy didn't say anything about that, you know, of course.
I can get the bigger one if you want.
I thought mine was
No, this is right. This is also going to be 80 Newton meters as well. We can get it on there.
Got it?
Got it. Here we go. 80 Newton meters. So the installation is now complete. We've torqued all the nuts down to factory specifications. So now we're getting ready to install DeLorean Go shock tower brace. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the body bolts from inside the trunk here. You also want to take the opportunity to clean out the area so that you don't have any dirt contaminating where you're going to be running your new bolts.
Nice and tight. These aren't original body bolts either.
Those aren't the original bolts?
No, the original ones had this like locating taper on them so that it would re-thread easy.
So these body bolts here don't appear to be the original factory ones.
Yeah, I wish I had those.
So we're actually cleaning it out with a little bit of brake cleaner just to make sure that the new bolts that you're going to be using
You have to cut holes in
are
your
not contaminated.
trunk board, you know, or you can just lay it on top.
So here we are with the new DeLorean Go shock tower bar.
I would recommend putting some anti-seize on these.
There you go.
He always has some in his pocket.
A little bit of anti-seize on there. So after we're done with the installation, we're going to torque these body bolts back down to factory specifications. Okay, so these are turnbuckle style, and they're very similar actually in design and concept to the DPI suspension links that we installed as well. So we are going to tension these down when we do the final installation here after we finish installing the new body bolts and the new spacers. So the spacers and the overall design is very similar to the DMOCO shock tower brace, but is it a little bit different?
I think the bar they have, this is a bit different.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little thinner.
Can you hand me the ratchet?
So one of the differences we noticed on the DeLorean Go brace here is that it's got a little knurled section. And we're thinking that's going to be for a wrench. So when we tighten this, or actually tension it, we can use that to... You can use the wrench on that knurled section right there to twist the bar in whichever direction. So we are torquing the body bolts to factory specifications, taking into account the anti-seize lubricant that we applied to the threads as well. It's not going to be exactly the same as what the factory recommended because that is not based on applying anti-seize. So when you torque this, what you want to do is you want to put it in tension. So you want to put it in tension, and you would just be doing that by hand. And this is the same instructions as the DMOCO version. And then you tighten up your jam nuts. Don't over tighten these jam nuts, you don't need to. Okay, so that concludes the suspension makeover for this DeLorean. We have the DeLorean Go shock tower brace installed. We also installed the DPI suspension links right here, and also DeLorean Parts Northwest polyurethane sway bar bushings. So this car is going to handle much better than it did before with these new components installed in the vehicle. Makeover test drive.
Let's
do it. Let's do it.
I gotta make sure I don't hit my trash can out in the middle of the street. Try not to run over Chris. Yeah, that's a lot better. It was like someone tied an anchor to it. But it's not. Normally, I was
vibrating as much.
No.
It's those urethane bushings, man.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit of
Poly
this,
bushings,
you know?
yeah, polyurethane
a little bit of death wall going on.
Yeah.
You can feel it's. You can feel it in the steering that it's tighter.
Do you feel like the car's a little bit more planted though?
It feels more secure.
Yeah.
And it just feels in through the steering wheel. You're getting a more tighter feel. A little bit. I'm not gonna say heavier. Just a good tight feeling through the steering wheel. And before I was, about 60, I would have a little bit of a steering wheel shimmy. So we were just doing over 60 and it was, I didn't really notice it. So, but yeah.
The car is actually really fast, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The car was, compared to my first car, which was an automatic, which, I mean, everyone knows I don't like, but it was real sluggish, and it was real sluggish and sort of like driving an Autopia car at Disneyland. But this car has always been pretty peppy for,
even before the DPI spec exhaust.
It was before, yeah, it was already noticeably better than my first car. And I don't know, it's not like I'm driving a bunch of DeLoreans, so I don't really have a comparison, but yeah, it was a lot better than my first car, which was an earlier car. But after the exhaust and everything, it just, to me, it's like it just drives so good. It's got really good manners, and it's got enough pep. You leave the stoplight. The kid in the Honda Civic's gonna beat you anyway, but you go. The car picks up, it goes. Yeah, this is way more planted feeling, way more. Yeah, there's more of a tighter, I'm not gonna say like a resistance feel in the wheel. You just feel everything's kind of firmed up.
Yep.
Let's do a big loop here.
You already have the DeLorean Europe suspension, so you already have the Evo shocks and you have the DeLorean Europe springs on it, so it probably rode pretty good even before this.
Yeah,
I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it rode good. Yeah, it looked right. No longer sitting on a rig like a 1960s super stock car.
Right.
So the suspension I've been real happy with. No complaints. The motor performance I've been real happy with. Like you said, it seems quicker, a little bit more peppier than I guess normal. Like I said, it's a really good car. really happy with it.
How's the braking? When you do some hard braking, do you notice big
It's
difference?
straight. No, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, does you don't veer off?
You're not doing.
Yeah, okay.
Woo, look out, look out. No, and
Because those
the first my brake master when I bought the car was bad. You know, seller didn't say anything about that, of course. But I had a brake master put in, and when I took the car by someone else, I won't mention names, here in Southern California, but when I took the car to Huntington Beach, they pulled that brake master out. It was some unknown white box, used, painted gold piece of junk. They didn't even know it was what the application was, and because the brakes kind of really sucked, even though the rotors, all that was new, they really sucked. And once DMC and Huntington Beach put on the the right proportion brake master, it stops really well. I would say though, if I ever upgrade something else, I would probably do a brake upgrade. It stops way better than it ever has, but it could still be better. I think a lot of people with DeLoreans kind of think the same way. It's good, but it could be better.
DPI has that Willwood brake upgrade that you might want to look into. Kind of pricey, but I heard it's like the best.
Yeah, that's what I was looking into as well. And I think if it had just the brakes were a little bit better, that'd be great. It stops fine. Definitely better than the other master. I don't know, a lot of people put this 50-50 master, and I think that's what was in the car, and it just never felt right. And once we went to the proper proportion ratios, night and day, just night and day. So that's my take on it anyway.
So what do you think about the handling with the new suspension upgrades?
Okay, so front strut brace, DPI, those links, bracing links. You know what? It's very noticeable. Very noticeable. It's real solid and tight. It's not like, maybe. It's not like a placebo. Oh, they're on there. It's like, I think it's cool or it's better.
Yeah.
It's actually, I mean, it actually is. Everything's tighter. Everything just feels more planted. Definitely worth it, I'll tell you. Definitely. If you want to do something to your car that you're gonna get it done, drive it, and go, yeah, cool. It actually works. This is a good upgrade. I would recommend it. Definitely happy with it. And now that the timing is back.
Yeah, you can really put it to the test.
Yeah.
You can really feel the acceleration, man. Big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to my car, I mean, mine's a manual too, but you got that Spec 1 exhaust. It's got to be making a huge difference there.
I tell you,
It sounds like it's working.
look out, a big tree. Watch out. Okay. Yeah. No. It looks good. Sounds good, and no complaints at all. High quality. Really good. No complaints. Let's just do a U here.
Yeah. The ultimate test.
And I really do feel, I've had a DeLorean before, early car, and it was an automatic car, and the difference between that car and this car is night and day. It just seems like this whole car was like, it was probably maybe built in a good spot. Everyone was happy. Everybody was in rhythm.
They were all going,
happy.
yeah.
There wasn't a stress going on. It just, I've had other people that have messed with the car tell me like, oh, that's a good car. And I could tell compared to my first car, where it was sort of like, the build quality was, you could find stuff that was pretty shoddy. But I'm just real happy with this car. My kid I'll drop dead someday. My kid will be driving it because it's not going anywhere. And it's a good one. It really is. I'm real happy with it. I can't imagine ever selling this car. But if I was ever to sell this car, this would be like, get this car. It's a good one. And not just saying it because it's mine.
No, it is. It
feels
like it really runs nice, man.
It idles good. It just air's, cold. Should be cold. Oh, you know what? We're not on air.
So you had it on a vent or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it was on.
Well, luckily it's not a hot day today.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Cool. All right, dude. Well, glad you liked the suspension upgrade.
It's really good. Yeah. I recommend it. Here, DeLorean thumbs up, right? That's like it's like the trademark. Yeah, no, it's really good, and I would recommend the DPI, the front bracing. Those links are great, and the strut brace. Everything is everything together. I think just kind of brings it all in. So
Awesome.
it's really cool. Okay.
Cool. All right, dude.
Happy.
Awesome.
All right.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
See ya.
Okay, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop those down in the comments.